Hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, have you heard the curious case of Camilla changing the registration on her home, on the home that she bought after she divorced her husband? She bought this home for herself. Hay Mills, I think it's called. And Charles even bought a home right beside it for her so she'd have more privacy. Because apparently they wanted to change the home beside her into a wedding venue or an Airbnb type, and that would have been really terrible for security purposes. But anyways, she quietly transferred the title to her son-in-law, not even to her children, but to her son-in-law, to her daughter's husband, and his investment partner. So I want to ask the cards what's going on. And I'm using Kipper cards. I've started to bring them out a little bit more. I'm just to mix things up. I want to know, is this for inheritance purposes? So is Camilla closer to the end than we think? Or no? Or is this so maybe is her and Charles actually getting divorced? And this way Charles can't claim anything to it, right? Somebody said, is this for her to get ready to move into Royal Lodge? I don't think so. I can ask the card separately, but I want to find out, is she hiding things from Charles if there's an impending divorce? If and when Charles dies, she would just automatically then just, she wouldn't have to share it with William and Harry, would she? And is that the inheritance laws in Canada, which are based on British laws, are when one spouse dies, everything automatically goes to the other spouse, unless there's something very specific in the will that would go to somebody else, right? Betty gets my ring or whatever, Sally gets the picture of Uncle Harold, that kind of thing. I can't see the boys going after her home because everything would just automatically go to her. And of course, anything, the crown, I'm talking private, right? And of course, the crown stuff would go automatically to William, and that's for inheritance tax purposes. Are they worried Harry would go after part of her home, as that home would be considered marital property? I mean, unless they have a prenup. Let's find out. Why did she change the title of her home and not to her children, to her son-in-law and an investment partner? What's that about? Is it for tax purposes, inheritance tax purposes? Is Camilla a lot more ill than we think she is? Let's find out. Oh boy, chatty. They can't wait to read the main mail. So there's Charles, right off the hop. There's Charles. Gift. Expectation. Okay. Let's back this up a bit. There we go. Privileged lady. Yes, this is for when she's single. She's expecting to be single. Message. Courthouse. There's the papers right there. See, I love these cards for that. Great fortune. Yeah, this is something to do with Charles. I'm going to say she's expecting to be single sooner rather than later. Pathway. Ooh. Wealthy man. There's the investor. Imprisonment. High honor. Concern. And underlying mature man. Okay. I'm going to say this is to keep it away from Charles. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he already has enough money. there's, I'm going to say, like, she is concerned that this house was from her divorce from her first husband, who is her children's father, right? I'm going to say she is setting herself up for when she is single. She's making sure all the legal papers are in order, because Charles and his family, because here's Charles is facing this way, out of the picture, right? Charles is out of the picture. Um, I think this is what this is setting up. She knows she's going to be the dowager. And interesting, we've done those readings on her, that she's probably not going to stay there anyways. Here's Charles' funeral, right? And perhaps her lawyer or somebody like that, it has some kind of concern about what's going to happen to her, what's going to happen to her properties, to make sure they stay with her. This is the Nine of Pentacles here. This is her with all the money and single. Here's this wealthy man. I'm going to say that's the investor, um, who is advising her right now. Right, this expectation, like, let's move forward once Charles passes away. Let's make sure. So this is somewhat for inheritance taxes as well. Right, here's this imprisonment here, or that it doesn't go to the crown, because then it's not marital property. So this is the concern. This is the concern. I'm even going to say that this has something to do with her first husband. Perhaps she wants to make sure that her things go to her children, right? And don't become, divided between 4 children that they have. And that's actually a big concern when you blend families. And, a lot of money comes from one spouse, and the other spouse, what am I trying to say here? Okay, so this actually happened in our family. The Mister lost his wife to cancer. The Mrs. lost her husband to cancer. They actually met while their spouses were dying. The Mister had millions of dollars. The Mrs. did not. They each had 4 children. They decide, well, we're both, widow and widower, and, we helped each other through this most difficult time, and we really get along. Let's get married. What he didn't know is that she slowly put a lot of the money in her 4 children's names. She was buying them all kinds of cars and whatnot. He, Mister, has a massive heart attack and dies. Everything goes to the spouse. He did not put anything in his children's name because he trusted her. I mean, that's his wife after all. Oh, for sure she'll split it with my children. Or once she passes away, my children will then, get their share. They took her to court, and she won each and every time, because legally she was his legal wife and was entitled to everything and was not obligated in any way, shape, or form to give anything to them. And she didn't. So these 4 children from the original marriage, and their parents worked hard. This money wasn't handed down to them. They worked damn hard. They were farmers. They did quite well for themselves. And everybody who's a farmer knows that's hard work. Kids worked hard on the farm. Mom and dad sold the farm. And then mom bought the farm. And all that went to his second wife. And they weren't even married 2 or 3 years. And I'm wondering if she's wondering about something like this happening, that somehow her property would get mixed up with Charles and it wouldn't go to her children exclusively. I can't see William dipping into that. I can't see, he's going to have his own billions and things to worry about. Perhaps she's worried more about Harry dipping into that, knowing that Harry and Meghan are quite broke right now. And this is what this is telling me, that she's being advised to do that because there's a concern once the coronation and whatnot go through and the funeral and everything. And it's actually interesting. Her and Anne just recently met up with her ex-husband, Parker Bowles Parker, whatever, doesn't matter. And here he is right here. Here's the first husband. And I'm wondering if he was the one who advised her and then said, well, you know what? Tom, our son Tom, well, he's got a really good investor guy, and that's what she was advised. It moved over to the son and the investor guy because there's a concern about what's going to happen once Charles dies. You know, it's interesting because this is my 2-year card and this is my 3 months card. And Charles actually has had cancer for 2 years now. So does he only have 3 months left? Or in 3 months, are we going to be crowning somebody else? In 3 months, is Camilla going to be single and ready to mingle? I think that's exactly what it is. Interesting, the courthouse papers showed up there. That's the actual papers that were signed and transferred over. And here's Charles exiting the reading. Here he is he's going home to the light. I love these Kipper cards. They're definitely very, very to the point. So I don't see anything here that Camilla is actually like that sick herself, that she's worried about an inheritance tax. I think this has to do when Charles passes away, that it's not muddled at all, that she doesn't own any property. It's her children's and she just gets to live there. How that looks, I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. But yeah, it's to make sure she's not kicked out of her own home. I think she's more worried about Harry than William, to be honest. I think William will ignore her, never speak to her again once his father dies. And I think she'll be quite happy with that. I think she's going to she'll be the Dowager Queen and we won't see her. She'll go live a quiet life somewhere warm for her bones. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Please take good care. See you online. Bye for now.